What I'm going to show you today is something that I've talked about already on the channel, but might be one of the most important things that I can share with you in terms of minimizing damage, staying as safe as possible while executing your own punch. Super important, stay tuned. So head off the center line. Why is this so important? When you go to throw your own attack, if we keep our heads straight above us and the other person throws, a lot of times it will come down to who is faster or who has the longer arms. Or sometimes if we both take impact, who hits harder. But there's an easy way, which I utilized in my last fight to make sure that I do not take the brunt of the punch every time I go to attack, and that is getting that head off the center line. Now there are so many aspects to this, so many elements which we can go beyond the beginner level. And that's what we're going to discuss today, because I've already taught you guys numerous times about how to move the head off the center line. And of course, this is something which I taught in my defense course. Guys, remember, defense course plus offense course, massive special, big savings happening only to the end of December. So jump on that right now. There are only a handful of strikers in the world who have 2 glory belts. There are even fewer who can add to that belts from China and 2 Bellator belts. All of this makes me the perfect instructor to help you improve your striking skills. Both my offense and defense training systems are available for a limited time for $99. The regular price for this is normally $299, which means you're going to be saving over $200. And understand that I'm going to be able to teach you things that only a 6-time pro world champion knows. This is the best way to be fully equipped for your fighting in 2025. Join my offense and defense course and take those striking skills to the next level. It is championship level stuff that you can't get anywhere else. So the karate combat gloves we're fighting in are so small, like teeny tiny. Even a UFC fighter who filmed with me, did a training session a couple weeks ago, he touched them and he went, whoa, these are small compared to a UFC glove. And the reason that I can feel my knuckles through, that makes it scary. That means that when I go to throw a punch, I have to be extra cautious about not getting hit. Did it work perfectly in my last fight? No. In round number 1, I wasn't getting my head off the center line very well, and I did take shots. But more so, that was because I was letting my opponent lead and trying to react. Once I started going on the attack, leading the attack, and getting my head off the center line, then his shots started missing and missing and missing. Now, he was cross heavy. He had his hand down here, his other one up, and it was always leading with the cross. Not a traditional cross, the way that I would normally expect, like straight up the center line, more so down here and a little bit looping. And that's often a difficulty when dealing with unorthodox opponents. They throw things a little different. But the head off the center line still worked. And I did 2 different ways on my attacks. Either number 1, coming with the jab, and his cross would sail by my head, or coming with my own cross, again where his cross would sail by my head. When we are looking to execute this, we want to make sure we're doing a couple fundamental basics, which are going to save us. Number 1, whichever hand is not throwing the punch, it stays tight because we are dropping our head to the side. So if I rush forward and I'm like, oh, I'm going to throw my jab and drop my head down, I might lean into a round kick. And that I've seen be very problematic for people, ends up resulting in a KO. They think they're doing a good job. They think they're being safe. They're going, okay, I'm going to drop my head off the center line, but really they're just leaning into a kick. So we have to, or even a knee, potentially, if you really mess up. So we have to make sure that this hand stays very, very tight. We want to also make sure that we are not strictly just leaning to the side. We might think as a beginner that, okay, I'm going to drop my head sideways and throw my punch. But what that does is it takes the energy of the punch and it shifts it off sideways, which is going to minimize the power which we have. We want our head to actually tip slightly forward so we can see this is me sideways and this is me forward. I get more extension, more power. All of that will give me more follow through on my opponent. Now, Madeira also did a good job when he threw his cross of moving his head off the center line. So there were a number of times where we both throw crosses and we both miss with the cross because the head has moved. At that point, it becomes who can follow up faster and tighter. Because if I come here, but then I loop around, I might be the one to get countered. So if I can remember to drop my head and then come straight up, this hand here, coming right back on that center line, so that I land first here, but even if I don't, this hand is structured up tight to the head. All of that in itself will keep you so much safer. I really like when I have fights and I can go and show you guys, look at these basics, which I talk about time and time again. I still use them, they still work. And the head off the center line is one of those fundamentals which just does it time and time again. Do you have to always throw your punch with your head off the center line? It's ideal, but if you're wanting to practice this, you can just move your head as well. It's the exact same motion of slipping, but I just throw a punch at the same time. So as a beginner, you can just stand in front of the mirror and go, okay, I'm just slipping. See how my shoulders still rotate as I slip? And it's the exact same thing, except now I extend my arm. Very simple way to train this. And then all you have to do is go, okay, I'm gonna go on my attack. The first punch which I throw, especially if it's a straight shot, I just drop my head. And then from there, I recenter my head so I can finish off my combo. Head off the center line, boom, boom, and then a nice clean exit. Or, as I did in this fight, head off the center line, maybe a punch or two more, and then trying to close the distance on my opponent. I don't want to give him more range to reset and throw that cross, which is his main strength. I want to take that away. So you can always close the distance at the end, and that head off the center line with the jab or the cross is a great way to lead off closing distance and staying safe. Let's call it there, everybody. Thanks for joining. I'll see you back here very soon.